Hello and welcome to ATI 4448. This session will assist you in understanding the engineering part of the senior design course, which relates to product design and development. The project management tools and techniques will assist you in organizing your engineering project to ensure a successful product. To begin with this session, we need to understand that the word product includes tangible goods and/or services, which means that developing a new service for the community is considered a new product. So the insurance policy is a product and the mortgage is a product. Looking at any product, we can see that customers buy satisfaction, not just the physical goods or services. The successful strategy links product decisions with investment, market share, and product life cycle. The objective of the product decision is to develop and implement product strategy that meets demand with competitive advantage. So the product strategy will focus on developing a competitive advantage via could be differentiation, where your product can be different than other products in the market. For example, we have Gambro. It's a neighboring company in the area that work on providing dialysis fluid for healthcare centers. The product could also follow a low-cost strategy, competing with similar high-cost product in the market, such as, for example, in the food area, Taco Bell or McDonald's competing with other food restaurants in the fast food area, and of course Walmart competing with, for example, Target or other companies in the area also serving the same material as Walmart. Some products will compete through rapid response to market, to the market variation, to the challenges in the market, and a good example for that, we can say Toyota and the response for Toyota for the changes in the market. The product life cycle may vary in length from few hours, such as newspaper, to decades, such as shuttle. Whether it is a long or short life cycle, operations manager has to develop a system to design and introduce new product. For us here, we have the team, we have the project manager or leader, and we have to look at the product life cycle and how we can look at the different operations or activities within the product life cycle. In general, the product life cycle can be divided into 4 phases: the introduction phase, the growth, the maturity, and the decline phase. This is a figure that shows the different stages or the phases of the product life cycle. Look at some of the examples. Also, it gives some examples for products in the introduction phase, some products in the growth phase, and others in the maturity, and others in the decline stage. You can see, for example, autonomous cars now being made by Google, and other companies are trying to do research and introduction to the market to see if it can be done or can be distributed on a commercial level. And then you can see that the LED TVs is going with the growth now in the growth stage, and the sales in the growth stage. You can see the maturity of the LCD TVs and the decline of the plasma TVs and the analog TVs. Also, the decline of the CD-ROMs, the iPods, the 3.5 floppy disk, which actually vanished. We have the social network and internet search engine that's in between the growth, maturity, and decline. All these products are examples of short life, long life product, and product in different phases some of them in the introduction, some of them in the growth, some of them in maturity, and some of them in decline. In addition, the figure shows the different strategies needed for each period. For example, in the introduction, it's the best period to increase market share, while in the growth phase, it's practical to change price or quality image. In the maturity, it's a poor time to change image, price, or quality. Already you spend a lot of money on that. You have everything that's been done. You cannot do it now. You cannot change the image, you cannot change the price, or you cannot change the quality. People are used to certain quality, and you have to be consistent with your product. In the decline, cost control is very critical in this stage, and we have to be careful with that. Each stage characterized of certain activities as shown in the figure. For example, in the introduction stage, this is what you need to do. As a group, you have the product design and development, which is very critical in this stage. You have the frequent product and process design changes. If you need to iterate and do any changes, it will be in this stage. Short production runs. If you can make a prototype, 1 piece, 2 pieces, as much as you can, it depends on the capabilities and the amount of money needed to produce 1 or 2. At this stage also, we have high production cost. It will be very expensive, and we have limited number of models, maybe 1 or 2 prototypes only. And we pay a lot of attention to the quality of the product in this stage. This is the most stage that we'll be working on. As a group, you will be working in this area. During the whole 2 semesters, ATI 4448, which is Senior Design 1, or ATG 4950, Senior Design 2, you will be working in the introduction, still in the research and development, in the design, development, the changes that you do within the design. We will not reach to the growth stage. Actually, part of the introduction will not be also included in our course, because some companies will go to different level of testing and maybe different level of production before it's released or go to the growth level. The investing company, of course, can move forward with the design and development to the growth stage and to the following stages where we have maturity and then most likely decline. Looking at the product life cycle, we can see that at the beginning you spend a lot of money in the introduction stage, doing the research, development, prototype, redesigning, running some production, testing. All that will be a negative cash flow compared with how much did you spend versus how much did you sell. You didn't sell anything, actually. That's why you have a negative cash flow. Maybe at the end of the introduction you start the sales, and once you start the sales, which is still in negative, you start going up with sales, going down with the cost of production, and at a certain point, maybe in the growth, maybe in the maturity stage, you might break even with sales and the cost of the product. After that, you start gaining the profit. So at the beginning, we have lots of production cost of development and production, and we have less sales. That's why we have negative cash flow, break even point, and then we started to gain money in this area. Once it declines, again, you have to be careful. Once it declines, we go into the loss area, which is in red here. Also, we look at the cost of change. What if we need to do any changes in the product? At the beginning, you can do as much changes as you want. That's not going to be a problem. So with the concept and design here, still we are under the concept and design. We can change that design. We can change the concept. We can iterate as much as we want. But once we spend a lot of money and we have now details or detailed prototype, and then we go to the manufacturing phase and we are going to the distribution, any changes will be with high cost. So the cost will increase once we spend a lot of money, and that's enough. We are not going to make any changes. Any change in the design will cost me too much. Any changes will cost too much. So this is the cost of changing the design. Let's go back, let's go over each stage separately and look what we do in each stage. And this is what you are going to do. So the project management part is to manage your ideas, manage and organize your project and your product, while this is the engineering part where you start the designing and development. So what do you do in the introduction? The fine-tuning, the research. You do research, so you go online and search for similar products that's similar to your design or idea. I recommend that you go to the patent website for the government and look at similar products. Do not Google it. Most likely, if you Google it, if someone is watching the internet, it might trigger some alert, and that idea could be sold. If it's your own idea, it could be sold to a company and it will be in the market in no time. Everybody now is analyzing the internet, analyzing the search engines, and trying to get information about the search that you do on a daily basis. Once you do the research and you know what's your niche in the product, would you be different product, which is differentiation? Would you have a low-cost product, or would you have a fast response product that would respond to the market faster than other product? Based on that strategy, based on that research and strategy that you developed, you start the design for the product. Once you start the designing of the product, you develop like a prototype to use it for visual presentation for the investor and for the customer, to make sure that this is what they are looking for. When you give it to the customer and say, this is what you want, is this what you need, at that point you will receive a feedback that will allow you to do modification and enhancement on the product. Once you are done with that, you do the supplier selection, where you start selecting your supplier to the different materials, different items, different things that will be used to assemble and to produce your item. Even if you need big machines to produce the item, and the conveyors, the manufacturing facility, at that point you will look for the suppliers that will supply you for these kind of equipments and how to lay it out in the facility. For us, all what we are going to do is going to do the research, design, product development, and if there are any modification, and the modification will be based on the feedback that you will get from me when I see the product idea. In the growth stage, which is something that again you will not reach to that point, but at that point we have the product design stabilized. We don't need to make any changes. We start forecasting for the capacity, how many items do I need to print or to produce from this product, and what will be the market need, and then we add enhancing capacity that will fulfill the demand of the customer. In the maturity, we start worrying now about competitors, because even if our product is not in the market, now it's in the market and other people are looking at that and trying to make a better one. So we have to be on the top of the game, knowing exactly what's in the market, who are our competitors, and how to deal with them. By reaching the decline stage, at that point we need to look for another product that can replace the first product, and that's what most companies are doing. By the time they have the decline stage, at that point they will have another item or another product that will do the same. For example, storage devices. By the time the floppy disk, the 5-quarter decline, there has the 3.5, and after the 3.5 they had the CD-ROM, and then the hard drive, the flash drive, and so on. So always a storage company, they were looking for a way to improve the product that they have and pick from where the other product declined. So they will be always going through the life cycle of the new products and picking up from the other products that they had before. After understanding the product life cycle and what to do in the introduction stage, let's look at the new product opportunities. How do we identify new product opportunity? To do that, we need to understand the customer need and customer wants. Most of successful new product ideas come from users or being developed by lead users. Although you have been given an idea to work on, you still have the chance to brainstorm with your group and work on your own idea if you have any. And brainstorming is a very, very strong tool that you can use to create a new idea or a new product. If you get a new product idea, you can actually start working on it again and prepare it for submission, and I will look at it if you would like to make sure that it's feasible and can be done in the 2 semesters, and then we can move forward. Also, you can get ideas by looking at the economic change, which will allow people to afford buying new products or new technology. In addition, we look at some sociological changes that might also affect the product demand. For example, the family size decreased. Instead of having 5, they need a minivan, they need SUV, huge SUV. Now we have family size of 2, where they need just a small 4-door car. So moving to a small car that's economy, that's effective, and it doesn't need lots of gas. We can also look at the technological changes, such as the handheld devices that are coming, and the cell phones, smartphones, and all these different devices that might be a trigger for a new technology that might be added to the market. We also look at the political changes, such as new trade agreement or government contract with another country that eliminate or minimize taxes. And we look at other opportunities that might come from the market practice, professional standards, suppliers and distributors. For example, for professional standards, before some cars didn't have the airbag, and then they started making the airbag with the standard, the new standard. Lots of companies started working on the airbags and the research and development of side airbags that comes from the side or from the back or from the front, and that triggered a new opportunity for a new product. This figure shows the product development process starting from the idea and ending up with the evaluation. And as you can see, it highlights where the scope of the product development team and the scope for the design and engineering teams. So you will be working as both. You will be the one who will write the scope of the product and you will develop. At the same time, you will be the engineering team that will design and implement. This is just like a highlight of or headlines of the activities that might be used when developing the new product or implementing the new idea. How can you collect customer requirements and translate that into product functions? When developing a new product, we use what's called Quality Function Deployment, QFD, to map and translate customer wants into design specifications. This process is used early in the design process to capture the characteristics of the product that will satisfy customer wants. One of the tools that is used in QFD is the House of Quality. To develop a house of quality, we need to perform the following steps. First, we need to identify customer wants. Then we need to identify how the goods or services will satisfy the customer wants. Then we relate customer wants to product house. And then we identify relations between the firms or the product house. And then we develop the importance rating for the different requirements. Then we evaluate the competing products from other companies. As you can see in this graph, the House of Quality is a graphical technique for defining the relationship between customer wants and product design specifications. As an example, let's assume that your team has been assigned to design a new camera for a company called Great Cameras Incorporated. The first action is to construct a house of quality. The first thing to do is to capture what customer wants. And as we can see, for the lightweight, the importance is 3 for the customer, and that's 3 out of 5 based on rating of 5. Then to have a reliable camera, that's 4 out of 5. 5 out of 5. The ease of use is 4 out of 5. And easy to hold is 2 out of 5, and no double exposure is 1 out of 5. We can also find how can we satisfy the customer wants through adding the proper functions to the camera. For example, low electricity requirements, aluminum components, autofocus. Like for the ease of use, you need it to be autofocus, auto exposure, auto film advance. All these will make it easy of use. And of course, the lightweight comes from the aluminum components. So we are trying to capture the requirements in the design specifications. Let's map customer wants with how to satisfy options, which will be represented by high, medium, or low relationship. And we have here the indication for the high, medium, and low relationship. How does it show? Then we can define the relationship between the different design requirements themselves. Is there a relation between the autofocus and auto exposure? Do we have a relation between the advancement of the film and the autofocus or auto exposure? Do we have a relation between the autofilm advancement and the low electricity requirement, and so on? All that should be identified and should be actually captured, so we can design the product properly. Then we calculate our weighted rating, assuming that low relations or the low relation is 1, medium is 3, and high is 5. Then we can say that for the first column, 3 times 1 plus 4 times 1 plus 5 times 3, add, and you will get 22. And we add as we go to find the importance of the ratings, and that's based on the weighted criteria or weighted factors that was given here. If the product is already in the market, exist in the market, then for sure we have other companies that produces that. So we need to look at those companies and see what do we do different to compete with them. So if we have two other companies like company A, company B, and then we have the P for poor, F for fair, and G for good, then we can actually rate the different things that's required by the customer wants based on the two companies' rating. Then we need to include the technical attribute of product and the technical evaluation for the company, your company versus the other companies, and you can see that you are doing good compared to them. So you're 75% compared to 50% or 60% from the other two companies, and this is what you need or where you need to be. Always you need to be at the top and better with the quality, with the design, with the production than other companies. This is a complete picture of the house of quality, and you can see the different parts that we put together to be able to analyze the customer needs, translate that into product design or design requirements, compare with other companies, make sure that the rating, the importance of these ratings is captured, and now we have the final product. In each stage, we look at different things. We look at the design characteristics, specific components, and then we look at the production process, and then we have to develop a quality plan to ensure quality and consistency of the product over production or over the product life cycle. The key idea in the quality function deployment principle is to identify from the beginning what the customer needs. If you identify or if you know from the beginning what customer needs, then you will not waste time or effort in designing and redesigning the product many times until you get what they need. Understand what they need, and then you can do it one time and save a lot in the effort and time of redesigning. That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, you can email it to me. Thank you and have a great day.